You're watching NDTV Profit. Let's take a quick look at where the Nifty and the Sensex are. We're expecting a flattish day. Yes, that's where it is, 86.95 below 8,700. There's going to be some data coming in, and then next week there are two holidays, Tuesday and Wednesday. So before Dussehra, you shouldn't expect too much movement on the Sensex and the Nifty. Well, you know, if you are one of those people who has to claim, you have to show your bills and claim some reimbursements, some on restaurant bills sometimes, and you've often got those restaurant bills which fade away in a month, and therefore you can't claim that money. Well, let me tell you, there is an answer for this, and for that I have with me Pankaj Poddar. This is not Pankaj Poddar of NDTV Profit, but he's the CEO of Cosmo Films. Let me start off with that. You were just telling me in the break, Mr. Poddar, that you're coming up with a solution to that. Yeah. Direct printing on paper instead of film. Yeah.
So see, we basically initially launched a direct thermal printable film, which can take a similar printing. It's a very niche concept. And globally the market is growing at a reasonable pace. For India especially, or I would say South Asia, it's a very new concept. So when we started promoting this concept in India and globally, we realized that in India, even for the paper market, there's actually no real big player. There are a lot of imports happening. And even if you talk about the India local production, there are very small players. There's a lot of inconsistent quality that was there in the market. So we felt that, look, it will be, one is for us, it will be easier to promote both the film and the paper because it will move through the same channel partnership. But at the same time, we'll be able to fill the need of the market, which is there, you know, that ink fades away very quickly. There's very inconsistent quality. So we have recently actually launched, along with the film, we have launched the paper as well.
All right.
So now we'll be able to, and the beauty about it is that the ink retention will be for a much longer
period. But can it be used on the same machines?
Yeah, so the printing machines are same. And actually, if you talk about film, there are three different ranges because the temperature sensitivities are different. Film is typically used either for the refrigerated applications or, you know, slightly on the warm side. So you have to have labels which can take this different temperature resistance. So in the film category also now, rather than just having one product, now we have the complete 3-product portfolio. But even if I talk about the paper, now we have something in the paper also.
All right.
And it's a far superior product for the market. So that's a new launch that we have done.
So essentially, this all shows that you're essentially diversifying beyond BOPP. As we mentioned last time, that Cosmo Films is the world's biggest producer of thermal laminates.
Yeah.
It does and everyone uses that. But you're now diversifying.
Yeah.
Now, what is the reason for diversifying? Is the laminates business getting saturated? Are the margins contracting a little bit?
See, yeah, so that's a good question that you asked. It's not that because our main business is BOPP films and thermal lamination films, and both are growing pretty well. Because BOPP, the main consumption area is packaging.
Right.
And how can packaging degrow in a market like India, right? So it's been growing at a very quick pace, and that's the reason.
Before you move on, has packaging grown more because of e-commerce? Has that led to a higher degree of packaging?
Yeah, so basically our film as yet are not used as much for the, this e-commerce related things. Maybe that is another area that we are looking to develop something specially for that market. But if I talk about BOPP, the overall food consumption in the packed food, that's been growing very fast.
Okay.
All right. And that's the reason that we are putting up on, the new BOPP line is anyways coming in Q4. We had put up a CPP line also, and there also within a very short period we have developed some very good specialties, and line is fully booked already. And therefore we have to really look whether CPP is another area where we should do expansion over a short period. But as you rightly said that there are so much other growth potential areas, and paper is a very small diversification that we have done. But we are interested in diversifications which are similar in nature, which actually helps our existing business.
You mentioned artificial velvet last time, right? Something which is actually a film but feels and looks like
velvet, yeah.
And you've launched more of those things?
Yeah, so earlier we had just velvet film in the BOPP and nylon. What we have done is, there's a concept called black velvet.
Okay.
So this is a black finish, and it gives a very, very luxury finish, to boxes where they just don't want to print anything. They just want to have maybe a small golden or a silver logo or something. And the entire surface need to look, like black in color. and at the same time have that velvet touch. So we have recently done it. We have just launched it in one color. We are now actually capable to launch in other colors also, but I think a market like this product, pretty much we have just started to do the trials, and we have done beautiful job in terms of getting a very good product on the velvet side as such.
All right, you've just announced that you've bought a new piece of land right next to your existing. So what are you going to do there?
Yeah, so we have recently, I would say very fortunate that we got a land which is just adjacent to our existing plot in Aurangabad.
Yeah.
We've actually in Aurangabad, we have two plants, one in Shendra, which is SCZ plant meant only for exports, and the other plant is at Waluj area, which is again a part of Aurangabad. So this Waluj plant, there was another plot which was available, and we actually quickly grabbed on that. So our existing plot is somewhere between 16 to 17 acres, and we got a new plot which is 34 acres. We have simultaneously also had applied for government for a 1,000 crore expansion plan, and we have got an approval for that. So our plan is to invest 1,000 crores in Maharashtra over a period of 5 years, in similar areas, and therefore this is going to have the future expansions of Cosmo.
But the existing plot, you said that there is a plot already in Aurangabad. Is that?
But no space.
No space. Okay.
Right. So no space, but the advantage of this is that, the administration becomes far easier.
Yeah.
The cost, either from administration cost or utility cost, would again be very economical to be at the same place.
Right.
So good thing is our entire management team sits, some of the senior colleagues sit at that plant.
Okay.
And getting a plot there, right there. And so it's a pretty good industrial area, with some of the very good industry names out there.
1,000 crore expansion plan, how are you funding that?
Yeah, so I think it will be internal accruals and the debt part. Our balance sheet looks quite strong, and therefore a lot of potential to take debt. At the same time, we had passed earlier an enabling resolution for QIP, so if at all there's a need at the right time, we will come back to the market. But at this stage, I think some of these things, that we've been doing.
How long is that resolution valid? Do you have to get it renewed, or is this valid forever?
Yeah, I think this is valid only till this year.
Okay.
We can always go, because in the year beginning we were thinking that whether we need it or not, but let's have enabling resolution. But we realized that our cash flows continue to be very strong, and therefore we didn't go for
this. So you
might
not need the QIP.
Yeah. So in the immediate term, I don't think so we need it, but to have a quick growth for the company, I think at the right time we may come back to the market.
All right. Before I go back to BOPP and polypropylene prices. The new place, is it going to also be BOPP? Is it going to be new products? I'm asking that. I know the answer you gave me in the break that you're not going to tell us, but So what are you waiting for before you answer that question?
I think we need to have first internal approvals. We have to have the board approvals for that, and obviously the entire 1,000 crores we are not going to announce in one go. It will come gradually over a phased manner, because it's a 5-year investment horizon that we are talking about. But at the same time, as I said, we are looking either in the BOPP or similar to BOPP, which actually helps our BOPP business.
All right. Okay.
So these are related areas that we are looking at, where we feel we are very confident that we can do a very good job. And again, the focus of the company will continue to remain on specialization. So we are not really looking at commodity markets. We will be driven by specialty, and the projects that we are studying will be kind of import substitution for India, or those areas where we can add a lot of value to the Indian market and to the global market.
When I asked you about e-commerce, you said that you're still not into it. You might look at that space as well. Yeah. Right now, you're not looking at it.
No, there's no immediate plans as yet, but that's a thing for development, because we see this market growing pretty well, and it has a lot of packaging needs. Until now, what I see is largely bubble wraps and corrugated boxes used. It's an expensive mode of packaging.
I mean, they send the individual, you might have ordered 4 things, they send it in 4 different bubble
exactly.
wraps. So they do consume quite a bit of it.
Exactly. So that is an area that we have to look at. In fact, a couple of times there had been internal discussion, but we have to do some development for that. And I don't think so we have anything as yet on the table. I don't know whether it will be BOPP or it will be a combination of 2 or 3 different products, but we have to come out with it. Nothing that we have done as yet, but this is under watch, I can say.
Okay, let me go to polypropylene. We've discussed this last time as well, that although oil prices dropped dramatically from above $100 to $30, it's going up again. Polypropylene did not really correct that much, right? It has been volatile, it's been trading within a particular range. What is the impact on you as a company?
See, if I talk about as a long term or let's say medium term, last 2 years when the oil came down from $100 to $40, the polypropylene prices also fell down from $1,500 to roughly $1,000 range.
All right, so there was a...
Yeah, so there was a correction, but at the same time there was a correction in our price because it's complete pass-through.
Right.
Especially when we talk about commodity, it passes, even before the correction happens. Specialities, yes, given that polypropylene content is very small, and therefore to that extent we are able to retain it. But if you really, rest of the portion is overheads or R&D or whatever, so that's our piece of business. But if you really ask me, for last 1.5 years since the time oil has stabilized, I would say polypropylene also has stabilized to a large extent.
Okay.
And it is, I would say staying in a range of $930, $940 to $1,050. So it's pretty been range down.
But in terms of, are there any substitutes which are directly crude related substitutes to polypropylene?
See, that's again a very good question that you've asked. I'll share some data with the viewers also. See, in India, food packaging, our BOPP consumption is only 44%.
Okay.
While if you see globally, it's almost 75% the polypropylene family. And so a lot of the Indian converters are pretty much used to using PET, which personally, in my opinion, one is, it's an expensive structure because in a BOPP, you are able to do it in a 2-film structure, while in a polyethylene terpelate, this PET structure, you have to actually use a 3-layer structure.
All right.
So it's a more expensive structure. Again, it's environmentally, I would not say as friendly as BOPP is because BOPP melting point is much lower. So cost of, or let's say the energy consumed to reconvert it is much cheaper. BOPP, the density is much better, and therefore you get more film per kilo. So I think Indian market is in a process where it is gradually moving towards BOPP for the food packaging industry concerned. And I think that's an area we are also kind of educating the customers that, look, this is the right product for you. Food packaging globally, these are the reasons that it's used in a much higher ratio than PET. I mean, obviously PET has its own advantages in terms of it can carry more weight, especially when you want an aroma barrier, you certainly need a PET. So PET has its own advantages, but there are a lot of areas in India that we continue to use.
Where it can replace.
Where it should replace. And I think gradually converters in India are realizing it. They are changing it. The brands are also realizing it. And therefore they are looking for more BOPP related structures. So in my personal view, BOPP growth should be much better in the future.
All right, Pankaj Poddar, thank you so much for coming in, and we're going to have you back when you're in a position to tell us what you're going to do in that Aurangabad space.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We'll be joined by the management of Gayatri Projects. TV Sandeep Kumar Reddy is MD of Gayatri Projects, will be joining us.